My name is Trevor Weller. I'm a lifelong resident of Pennsylvania who was born and raised in Pittsburgh. I'm a father and school teacher, but most importantly in this case, the son of a man who was a victim of medical malpractice. My father, Charlie, passed of sepsis after a grueling 1-month hospital stay on September 1st, 2019. The sepsis was the result of an infection that he got from a hospital procedure, one that, as it turns out, he didn't need. The reason I'm putting this petition together is I firmly believe that the statute of limitations as it pertains to medical malpractice in Pennsylvania needs to change. For the statute of limitations in this state to be 2 years with medical malpractice, yet 5 years for receiving stolen property is quite frankly preposterous. Pennsylvania had the second highest payout for medical malpractice in the 50 states, yet 14 states have a statute of limitations which is more than 2 years. Of the 14 states, only 3 have more incidents of medical malpractice per 1,000 residents. Minnesota is the only state that boasts a statute of 4 years, and in comparison to them, Pennsylvania has 5 more cases per 1,000 residents at 23 to Minnesota's 18. Minnesota also pays out $48 million per year, while Pennsylvania is at a staggering $374 million, which is nearly 5.5 times that amount. I also would like to see a certain institution or institutions put in that are designed to help a grieving family member through the process before they find themselves at the mercy of the legal procedure. If such institutions exist, then perhaps they need more funding to be more in the public eye so the common man or woman knows how to reach them. After all, medical error is not a small issue in this country. It is the 3rd leading cause of death, resulting in between 250,000 and 400,000 lives lost each year. In my own personal plight to get justice for my late father, I have been met with unforeseeable hurdles and roadblocks put in place to delay and deter my battle. Even more shocking was to find out that these aren't exclusive to my case, but at times a common practice. For example, many cases that are a bit more complicated and not exactly slam dunks require you to reach out to many different law firms in hopes that someone will take your case. Whenever you get a lawyer that shows interest, it is imperative that you obtain your loved one's medical records. By law, in Pennsylvania, the hospitals have 30 days to turn them over. In my case, they took 43. Once I received these records, I worked diligently to get them into the hands of law firms. After having a handful glance over them and reluctantly decline, I finally got them into the hands of someone who was willing to give them a more thorough view. He informed me that the hospital had deliberately left out information in my father's medical records and that I had to sign a HIPAA form for them to send them immediately. This took an extra week on top of the 10 months I went unknowingly with insufficient medical records. Not only was this not a shock to the law firms I spoke to, but it was sadly a very regular occurrence. This particular lawyer took an additional 2 months to view it over with his assistant before turning me down because my father's case was not lucrative enough. If 2 years seems sufficient to you, keep in mind this. You typically get a maximum of 5 days for bereavement. For many, this includes grieving, decisions ranging from autopsy to what kind of burial, scraping together funeral costs, notifying other loved ones and trying to process the impact of such a puzzling and devastating loss. Many of us who find ourselves a victim of medical malpractice are parents, sons and daughters, active members of the community, and people with jobs and careers. We are expected to navigate through this process many times without the slightest clue of things to look for, resources we need, or people who have our genuine best interest at heart over the almighty dollar. The whole time, the hourglass never stops. Birthdays, holidays, special occasions, all demand so many of these victims to power through potential PTSD and keep it together for loved ones they still have with us. All the while, these powerhouse hospitals bully us with their checkbooks, dream teams of law experts, and just outright refusal to give us a fair fight. My father's case became even more difficult with having to navigate through COVID. Many lawyers have apologized ahead of time when discussing the callous formula that determines what my father was worth. A 70-year-old widowed veteran of 4 and grandfather of 5 with comorbidities and a smoking habit. Maybe it doesn't generate the payday that his tragic pain and suffering deserves, and there certainly isn't a dollar amount that can bring him back. But if Charles Edward Weller, my hero, can be the catalyst to give so many more Pennsylvanians something which is so much more valuable, time, then that is something you can never put a price on. Help me change the statute of limitations for medical malpractice and get justice for Charlie and so many other Pennsylvanians. Thank you.